everyone, I'm Swati Sachimun. Welcome to the History and Culture Prelims Question Analysis of 2022 by Ekam IAS. In this session, we'll be analyzing the history and culture questions, the areas from which they've been asked, as well as the source of these questions. The objective of this session is to help streamline your 2023 prelims preparation. So without wasting time, let's move on to our session. First, let's analyze the number of questions that has been asked this year. And this year, that is in 2022, about 16 questions were asked from prelims and from the history and culture portion. So this number is comparatively a smaller one because in the past 2 years, that is in 2020 as well as 2021, about 20 questions were asked. So, however, this number 16 is not very less because the 8-year low, the past 8-year low was about 14, and that was in 2017. So, this is a very decent number, we can say. Anyway, we know that about 32 marks. So, 16 question means it amounts to about 32 marks. And when it comes to prelims, I don't have to tell you about the significance of 32 marks. So, over to our first question. Just like every other year, this year also, there is in the prelims question, there was really hard questions, medium type questions as well as really easy questions. So this one is more or less an easy question. Let's read this question. In the Government of India Act 1919, the functions of provincial government were divided into reserved and transferred subjects. Which of the following were treated as reserved subjects? The options are administration of justice, the local self-government, the land revenue, police. So, this is a question. We know that this year the option patterns have been changed. A new type of option pattern have been also introduced. But this is one question, and in that pattern, the usage of elimination technique is not feasible. But this is one question where we can use the elimination technique. So, this question is about the Montagu-Chelmsford reforms, the Government of India Act 1919. And we know that according to the Act, the subjects of administration have been divided into the reserved ones as well as transferred. So, what is reserved subjects? It includes of these subjects that are dealt by the central government. So, central government means British. So, here British always wanted to keep power to themselves. They obviously they don't want to give every other power to the native subjects. They always wanted things under their control. So, our first option is administration of justice. Obviously, if British wanted a control means they wouldn't be giving this administration of justice to the natives. So, this was under the reserved subjects. This comes under the reserved subject. Then, so this is one question where we can even use our common sense. And second option is local self-government. So, local self-government deals with the administration of the natives. So, this was transferred to the native subjects. So, this is a transferred subject. So, the question is asking reserved subject. So, if we eliminate option 2 means option A is eliminated, B is eliminated, D is eliminated. So, what is the correct answer? You don't even have to know option 3 and 4. We'll just simply get the answer. So, the answer is option C. Let's check the other options too. Land revenue, obviously, the British will be keeping it under them. And as well as police, they want to control the people. So, police is also under the reserved subject. So, this is Neo IAS materials, a very comprehensive view of all the acts have been provided in Neo IAS material. Also, we are very happy to tell you that majority of the questions, I mean more than 60% of the questions that have been asked in the prelims 2022 were covered by our materials. Which includes of our prelims materials, our current affair plus materials as well as our prelims test series. So, yes, now let's move on to our second question. Now, over to our second question, let's read the question. So, in medieval India, the term funum referred to. This is also another easy question. I'm pretty sure most of you got the answer right. The options are clothing, coins, ornaments as well as weapons. The correct answer is coins. So, funum is referred to the gold coins of Vijayanagara Empire. There were other metals used like the pure silver as well as copper as part of the coinage. So, that's the second question. Now, let's move on to our third question. Our third question, so if you would skim through this question, you would see Gadar party and you might assume that this is a very easy question. but it's specifically asking about the people who were actively associated. Let's read the question. Consider the following freedom fighters: Barindra Kumar Ghosh, Jogesh Chandra Chatterjee, and Rash Bihari Bose. So the option 3, that is Rash Bihari Bose, was one which was there in Spectrum and other standard textbooks, but it was given by the end. A number of people were listed in that list, and it was given to the end. So chances are there that you might have skipped this person. Yeah, so let's analyze the options. First one is Barindra Kumar Ghosh. Who's Barindra Kumar Ghosh? Barindra Kumar Ghosh is the brother of Aurobindo Ghosh, and so this person, Barindra Kumar Ghosh, he was tried by the trial of Alipur bomb case, and as a result, he was deported to the cellular jail in Andaman, Kalapani. So he was deported in 1909. So he was deported to Kalapani in 1909 along with other convicts, and he came back only by 1920. So if you know about Ghadar Party means, you'll be knowing that the Ghadar Party reached its zenith during the mid 1910s. So at that time, by 1914 and 50, this person, that is Barindra Kumar Ghosh, he was in Andaman, he was in jail. So that option is not right. He was not actively part of the Ghadar Party. Then second person is Jogesh Chandra Chatterjee. So who's Jogesh Chandra Chatterjee? He was involved in not in Ghadar Party but in HRA, which later came to be known as HSRA. So what is HSRA? The Hindustan Socialist Republican Association or Army. So Jogesh Chandra Chatterjee is also not part of it. So if you eliminate option 1, then so option A and C will be eliminated. Then we have either 2 or 3. The options are B means 2 only, D 3 only. So you can use elimination here. So if you knew Rash Bihari Bose and if you didn't know Jogesh Chandra Chatterjee also, you would have been able to find the answer. So yes, the answer is Rash Bihari Bose. The answer is D 3 only. Now over to our next question. So this question is about CRIPS mission. This is our new IAS material. So as I said, we have comprehensive materials and classes regarding history and culture. For accessing them or for getting more information, you can find a link in the description or in the comment section. So let's read the question. With reference to the proposals of CRIPS mission, consider the following statements. The Constituent Assembly would have members nominated by the Provincial Assembly as well as princely states. Is that a correct statement? You might think that yes, it had members both from Provincial Assembly as well as princely state. But were both of them nominated? It's not correct. So let's read the material. Would be partly, members of this assembly would be partly elected from Provincial Assembly. So in case of Provincial Assembly, it's partly elected. And in case of the princely states, it's right, it's nominated. So this option is not correct. So, I mean, the statement is not correct. So, 1 is wrong. Second, any province which is not prepared to accept the new constitution would have the right to sign a separate agreement with Britain regarding its future status. So, this was one statement that was an issue with CRIPS mission, and this is a reason by which CRIPS mission proposal was not accepted, because if it was allowed means even now after independence, British would be having some kind of hold in India. So that was not accepted. The statement is correct. So the answer is B 2 only. So now over to our next question. With reference to Indian history, consider the following tests. Neti Pagarana, Parishishta Parvan, Avatana Shadaka and Trishashti Lakshana Mahapurana. Which of the above are Jaina texts? So as I said, there were easy questions, medium questions and really hard questions. So this is one of the really hard questions. So if you didn't know the answer, means it would have been better to leave it rather than getting a negative mark. So the answer here is B 2 and 4, and I'm pretty sure most of you weren't able to crack this one. So the answer here is B 2 and 4. The Parishishta Parvan and Trishashti Lakshana Mahapurana are the answers. Let's read a bit more about these 4 texts, because we don't know. UPSC might ask, these are important now because UPSC might ask them next year. We also know that both these Jainism as well as Buddhism are really important for UPSC. Every year UPSC asks questions from them. But the problem is that they're finding new areas every year. So keeping up is a bit harder when it comes to this area. Anyway, let's read a bit more about Netipagrana. It is a Buddhist scripture, and it contains of methods which were taught by Buddha's disciple Kakkana or Kanchana, I'm not sure about the pronunciation. And it was recited at the first Buddhist council, and it's related to Theravada Buddhism. So that's one important point. It's related to Theravada Buddhism. And Parishishta Parvan, as we said, is a Jaina text. It's a 12th century Mahakavya believed to be written by Hemachandra. And next, Avadana Shataka is meaning 100 glorious deeds. It includes of Jataka stories, then Trishashti Lakshana Mahapurana. It includes of the details of stories of 36 important personality, and it is the text is composed largely by Acharya Jinasena and during the rule of Rashtrakuta. So if you're getting a new area or new portion, means it's important to know or learn more about it, because UPSC might ask more questions about it next year. Now over to our next question. Let's read the question. With reference to Indian history, consider the following pairs. Historical persons are given, and it's asking what are they, whether they are Jaina, Buddhist or Vaishnava. So Aryadeva, Jaina scholar; Diknaga, Buddhist scholar; Nathumuni, Vaishnava scholar. This is the as I said, this is a new pattern of options that have been included by UPSC. So even if you know one option, I don't think you would be able to use elimination technique here. So Aryadeva, the answer here is C. Aryadeva is a Buddhist monk. Aryadeva is a Buddhist monk. He is not a Jaina scholar, and he was the disciple of Nagarjuna. Further, he was a Madhyamaka philosopher. So this option is wrong. Then second option, Diknaga. Diknaga, yes, he is a Buddhist scholar. He was one of the Buddhist founders of Indian logic. Then Nathamuni is also a Vaishnava scholar. That's correct. So option 2 and 3 is correct. The Nathamuni is also known as Sri Ranganatha Muni, and he was a Vaishnava theologian who compiled the Nalayana Divya Prabandham. So option 2 and 3 are correct. Option 1 is wrong. So we have only 2 pairs. So the answer is only 2 pairs. And further, 2 other texts written by Nathamuni are Yoga Rahasya as well as Nyaya Tattva. Then now let's move on to the next question. Now this question is about the Mongol invasion. The materials have been, the screenshots of materials have been added here. So this is Ekam IAS or material or neo material, and these are NCERT snippets. So I don't have to tell you about the significance of NCERTs in UPSC preparation, right? So let's read the question and let's find the answer. So the question, with reference to Indian history, consider the following statements. So the first statement is, the first Mongol invasion of India happened during the reign of Jalaluddin Khalji. So when did the first Mongol invasion took place? The Mongol Empire, they conducted several raids in India, and this happened between 1221 and 1327. So this happened between 1221 and 1327. So when was the reign of Jalaluddin Khalji? Jalaluddin Khalji's reign was basically between 1290 to 1320. There have been raids that took place during Jalaluddin Khalji's lifetime, but not the first one. So this statement is not right. It's a wrong statement. So option 1 is wrong. Then second statement, during the reign of Alauddin Khalji, one Mongol assault marched up to Delhi and besieged the city. Is that a right statement? Yes. Because during Alauddin Khalji's time, they went to capture the fort of Chittor, and it was a 8-month long siege. And at that time, what the Mongols did is that they knew that this Khalji, he went to Chittor fort. They knew that his army was focusing there, so they decided to attack the capital of Khalji, and as a result, they were even able to hold the control of Delhi for about a week. However, after trying so hard, Khilji's army was able to take back their land. But this statement is something that happened. So this is a correct statement. Then the third statement, Muhammad bin Tughlaq temporarily lost portions of northwest of his kingdom to Mongol. So Muhammad bin Tughlaq's reign was between 1325 until his death, that is 1351. And by the 14th century, Mongols were more or less weak, and they didn't have the power enough to control an area like the northwestern part of India. So that's a wrong statement. So statement 3 is wrong. So only statement 2 is correct. Statement 1 and 3 is wrong. Only statement 2 is correct. So the answer is B, 2 only. Now over to our 8th question. So our question is, with reference to Indian history, who of the following were known as Kuladaran? I think this was a question that would have troubled most of you. So the options are Arab merchants, Qalandars, Persian calligraphists, or Saids. So the source of this question is V.D. Mahajan. V.D. Mahajan is one text that is used mainly by the history optional aspirants. I don't think many GS students would have read it, but this was a source. So let's see more about Saids. Saids claim their descent from Prophet through their daughter Fatima, and Saids were respected in the society. They were landed nobles. They were awarded with the Iktas as well, and further, they used to wear a pointed cap called as Kula, and because of which they were known as Kula Dharan. So the answer here is Saids. Now let's move on to our next question. So the 9th question is, with reference to Indian history, consider the following statements. The Dutch established their factories or warehouses on the east coast on lands granted to them by Gajapati rulers. Alfonso de Albuquerque captured Goa from Bijapur Sultanate. The third one, the English East India Company established a factory at Madras on a plot of land leased from a representative of the Vijayanagara Empire. So this was a more or less easy question, so provided you you were expected to read the question properly. Yeah. So the first option, the Dutch established their factory or warehouses on the east coast of land, which is right, they did. Where did they establish it? It was in Masulipatanam. But was the land granted by Gajapati rulers? So who was Gajapati rulers? Gajapati rulers were people who used to rule or reign the area of Odisha. They ruled the area from 1434 to 1541, whereas the Dutch set up their factories in Masulipatanam during 1605. So the there is a time period difference. So it was not Gajapati Empire or Gajapati ruler. So that's a wrong statement. So statement 1 is wrong. Second statement, Alfonso de Albuquerque captured Goa from Bijapur Sultanate. So that's an option or statement that everyone knows. That's correct. Then the English East India Company established a factory at Madras on a plot of land leased from a representative of Vijayanagara Empire. So this might have confused some. If you would have thought more about it. I mean, obviously the Battle of Talikota defeated the Vijayanagara. So you may have thought whether they were still existing or not. It did. I mean, it defeated them, but it made them weak. They were still present here and there. So this land was leased by Vijayanagara king itself of Aravidu dynasty, and the king was called Peda Venkataraya. So that's a correct statement. And the answer here is B, 2 and 3. This is new material. Yes, then our Ekam IAS material. Now over to our 10th question. So let's read the question. So this one is about foreign invasion, and the first statement, with reference to Indian history, consider the following statements. First statement, the Dutch established their factories or warehouses on the east coast on lands granted to them by Gajapati rulers. So it was true that Dutch did establish the factories on east coast, which is in Masulipatanam, but was a land granted by Gajapati rulers. So let's see who Gajapati rulers are. Gajapati Empire was established in the Suryavamsha of Odisha. So they belong to the Odisha region and they reigned from the period 1434 to 1541. And they were more or less parallel to the Sultanate period, whereas the factory was established by Dutch in Masulipatanam in 1605. So they were not in the same period. So this option is wrong, or the statement is wrong. So statement 1 is wrong. Second option, Alfonso de Albuquerque captured Goa from Bijapur Sultanate. That's an obviously correct statement. Then the third one, the English East India Company established a factory at Madras on a plot of land leased from a representative of Vijayanagara Empire. So maybe this option would have confused you if you would have thought about the Battle of Talikota. Yes, Battle of Talikota did defeat the Vijayanagara Empire, but that battle didn't completely wipe off Vijayanagara Empire. It was there but very weak. So this land was given by the Vijayanagara king itself of Aravidu dynasty. He was called Peda Venkataraya. So the statement is correct. So the correct answer is option B, 2 and 3. This is new material or Ekam IAS material. Now over to our 11th question. So this question is from Kautilya's Arthashastra or based on it, and the source of this question is Romila Thapar. So the question is almost verbatim of what's written in Romila Thapar. So let's read the question first. According to Kautilya's Arthashastra, which of the following are correct? A person could be a slave as a result of a judicial punishment. If a female slave bore her master's son, she was legally free. If a son born to a female slave was fathered by her master, the son was entitled to the legal status of the master's son. So according to Kautilya's Arthashastra as written in Romila Thapar, a person could become a slave by 4 means. 1 was by birth, the other by voluntarily selling himself, and 3 by being captured in war, and 4th as a result of judicial punishment. So our first statement is correct. A person could be a slave as a result of judicial punishment. And if we would read further, we can see that a female slave bore her master's son. Not only was she legally free, so the second statement is correct, she was legally free, but the child was entitled to the legal status as a son of the master. So the third statement is also correct. So the answer here is D, 1, 2 and 3. Let's move on to our 12th question. So our 12th question is about some sites, Ashoka's major rock edict sites, and it's a 4-question statement in new pattern of options given by UPSC. So the first site of Ashoka's major rock edict is Dhauli. Dhauli is in Odisha. Is that correct? Yes, Dhauli is in Odisha. Now the second one or second pair is Iragudi. Iragudi is in Andhra Pradesh. That's also correct. So Dhauli is in Odisha, correct. Iragudi is in Andhra Pradesh. But is Jaugada in Madhya Pradesh? No. Jaugada is also in Odisha and not Madhya Pradesh. What about Kalsi? Is Kalsi in Karnataka? No, it's not in Karnataka, but it is in Uttarakhand. So Kalsi is a place that was discovered by Alexander Cunningham. Here the answer is D, only 2 pairs. The right pairs are Dhauli, Odisha as well as Iragudi, Andhra Pradesh. Let's move on. So this is NCERT text itself. So yes, NCERT texts are really important. So are your standard textbooks. Now over to our 13th question. So our 13th question is about kings and the dynasties to which they belong. This is a hard question itself because you need to know about these people and you cannot not really employ the elimination technique too. So this is more or less, we can say that it's more or less a hard question. So the first option is Nanuka and Chandela. Yes, Nanuka belongs to Chandela dynasty of Bundelkhand, and the poetic ballads about the Chandelas do not mention about Nanuka. Instead, it uses the name Chandravarman as the founder of Chandela dynasty. Okay. Then the second option, Jayashakti. So first pair Nanuka belongs to Chandela itself. That's correct. Then second Jayashakti. So Jayashakti Paramara. It's wrong. Jayashakti belongs to Chandela dynasty itself, and his younger brother is more or less famous. His younger brother is Vijayashakti. A third pair Nagabhatta. Nagabhatta, yes, he belongs to Gujjara Pradihara. Nagabhatta, the second of Gujjara Pradihara, is pretty famous. The real titles that was given to him includes of Parama Bhattagara, Maharajadiraja, Parameshwara, etc. These titles were awarded to him after the conquest of Kannauj. Now our fourth pair given is Bhoja and the dynasty given is Rashtrakuta. So if we check history, there are 2 Bhojas. So one is Mihir Bhoja or the Bhoja the first, and the other one is Raja Bhoj Parmar. So Mihir Bhoja or Bhoja the first, he was a king belonging to Gurjara Pradihara. So Mihir Bhoja belonged to Gurjara Pradihara, and the other one who was popularly known as Bhoja and his actual name is Raja Bhoja Parmar, he belonged to Parmara dynasty. So none of these Bhojas belong to Rashtrakuta, hence option 4 is wrong. So that makes the answer as only 2 pairs, that is option B. So the answer here is option B, only 2 pairs. Which are the correct answers? Nanuka belongs to Chandela. Nagabhatta, yes, he belongs to Gurjara Pradihara. Jayashakti belongs to Chandela. Then Bojas, 2 Bojas are there, one belonging to Gurjara Pradihara and the other one to Paramara dynasty. Now let's move on to our 14th question. So our 14th question is about Sangam literature in ancient South India, and these are some sources. It is Ekam IAS material and another source. Let's read the question. Which one of the following statements about Sangam literature in ancient South India is correct? So the first option is Sangam poems are devoid of any reference to material culture, which is wrong. If you take works of Sangam period, means we can see references to material cultures like about jewelries, about potteries and all. So it was more or less a material culture itself. So option A is wrong. So the correct statement is asked. Option A is wrong. Then the social classification of Varna is known to Sangam boys. So this is more or less a confusing or controversial statement. However, if you would take the Sangam work, Tolkappiyam, then Tolkappiyam refers to 4 castes. So this caste division is based on the division of work or division of labor. And Tolkappiyam writes about 4 castes, which are Arasar, the ruling class, Antanar, the priest, Vanigar, who were traders and involved in commerce, then Vellalar, who are the agriculturalists. So option B is correct. The social classification of Varna based on job or division of labor was known to the Sangam poets. That option is correct. We got the answer. Still, let's read the other options too. Sangam poems have no reference to warrior ethic, which is totally wrong, because we've seen in so many Sangam works there are praises about the warrior classes or the wars and all. So that's a wrong option. Now let's read the fourth one or fourth statement. Sangam literature refers to magical forces as irrational. That's wrong, because in a Sangam work called Manimekalai, the Tamil Buddhist epic, so in that the writer Santanar, he includes magical references. Magical references like a magical bowl which always has food and all has been included, and also some other magical references are there too, and it's not written or it's not called as something irrational anywhere in the book. So that's a wrong statement. So our answer is option B. The social classification of Varna was known to Sangam poets. Now over to our next question, which is about Yoga Vashishta. So the question is, Yoga Vashishta was translated into Persian by Nizamuddin Panipati during the reign of Akbar, Humayun, Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb. This is not really an easy question, because it is specifically it's not asking about who are the translators, but it's specifically asking about Nizamuddin Panipati also. So it's however a bit more harder question. Anyway, let's see what Yoga Vashishta is. So Yoga Vashishta is a philosophical text which is dated somewhere from 6th to 7th century to 14th and 15th century, and this work is attributed to Maharishi Valmiki. And during Mughal dynasty, number of rulers like Akbar, Jahangir and Dara Shikoh, they ordered the translation of Yoga Vashishta into Persian, but the question is specifically asking about Nizam al-Din Panipati or Nizamuddin Panipati. So he translated during the reign of Akbar. That was in late 16th century AD. So the correct answer here is Akbar. Akbar is the correct answer. Now let's move on to our next question. So this question is somewhere linked to current affairs. Let's read the question. The world's second tallest statue sitting pose of Ramanuja was inaugurated by Prime Minister of India at Hyderabad recently. Which one of the following statements correctly represents the teachings of Ramanuja? So this is linked with this. This question was asked because it was in current affairs. But what is asked? The basic teachings or the static part is being asked. So the options are, it is asking for the correct option about the teachings of Ramanuja. First statement is, the best means of salvation was devotion. So what were the teachings of Ramanuja? Ramanuja's teaching, mainly according to him, salvation could be attained through karma, gyan and bhakti. So karma meaning the duties, gyan meaning knowledge and bhakti meaning devotion. So that's exactly what is being said here. The best means of salvation is devotion or bhakti. So he was a person who was involved with bhakti movement and all. So that's a correct statement. Let's just read the other statements. Vedas are eternal, self-existent and wholly authoritative. That was not part of his teaching. That was wrong. Logical arguments were essential means of highest bliss. That is also not correct. Then the fourth statement, salvation was to be obtained through meditation. So Ramanuja has not mentioned anything about meditation as a path to salvation. That was also wrong. This is Ekam IAS material. Now let's move on to our next question. So this is also somewhat linked with current affairs. The question is, the Prime Minister recently inaugurated the new circuit house near Somnath temple. This is more or less about the art and culture from part. So this question is from the art and culture part. The Prime Minister recently inaugurated the new circuit house near Somnath temple at Veravel. Which of the following statements are correct regarding Somnath temple? The first statement, Somnath temple is one of the Jyotirlinga shrines. So if you would have read about Somnath temple, means one of the first things that you would be reading is that it is a Jyotirlinga shrine. It is one of the first of 12 Jyotirlinga shrines of Shiva, Lord Shiva, and so that's a correct statement. Second one is a description of Somnath temple was given by Al-Biruni. So this is also a very correct statement, because Al-Biruni gave a very explanatory or very vocal statement about Somnath temple, which led to the Mahmud of Ghazni's 14 raids of invasions of Somnath temple. The Al-Biruni wrote about the riches, about how rich Somnath temple was, and this Lord Mahmud of Ghazni, and the temple was attacked in 105 to loot the wealth amassed inside the temple. So as I said, it was looted 17 times, and every time the temple was rebuilt by the people. So now the third option. So our third statement, not option, statement. Our third statement is Pran Pratishtha of Somnath temple installation of the present day temple was done by President S. Radhakrishnan. So as I said, a number of times, about 17 times it was looted and it was reconstructed every year. And after independence, Patel, he went and visited. He along with K.M. Munshi, they took initiative and built they did with the help of a trust, the Somnath temple, modern temple was rebuilt, and that happened in 11 May 1951, the inauguration. So the question is saying that the President S. Radhakrishnan was the one who inaugurated it. This took place, that is the inauguration took place in 1951. So who was the president of that time? Our first president. Who was it? It was Rajendra Prasad. This S. Radhakrishnan, he was the president during 1960s. So that's a wrong option. So our answer here is statement 1 is correct, statement 2 is correct, but statement 3 is not correct. It was inaugurated by, the Pran Pratishtha was done by President S. Rajendra Prasad. And I said it's a current affair because recently our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he attended the ceremony of laying a foundation of Ram temple, and it was bit of a controversy, saying that the Prime Minister of a country should not attend such kind of a religious thing, which was already a controversy. So maybe at that time discussions went back to the time of President Rajendra Prasad's when he went to this installation. So maybe that's why it was asked. We say that history is static, but it is also linked with current affairs. So if something is in news, means that portion could be asked. Yes, so our answer here is A, 1 and 2 only. Yes, so we discussed 16 questions from Prelims 2022 today. I hope the session was helpful to you. If it was, then please do like, comment as well as subscribe our channel. That's it. Thank you.